I'm so tired I can't sleep.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're looking at the most spine-chilling songs that, strangely enough, seem to foreshadow the artist's untimely deaths.
I can't get no satisfaction. All I want is easy action, baby.
Lonely Teardrops, Jackie Wilson. After rising to fame as a member of Billy Ward and his Dominoes, Jackie Wilson launched his solo career in 1957, scoring a hit the following year with Lonely Teardrops. Renowned for his electrifying stage presence, Wilson always raised the bar with his performances.
Lonely teardrops, my pillows never dry, a lonely teardrops.
But in 1975, while singing Lonely Teardrops at Dick Clark's Good Old Rock and Roll Review, life delivered a cruel twist. As he hit the lyric, "My heart is crying," Wilson suffered a heart attack and collapsed on stage.
You know my heart does nothing but cry.
Initially, the audience mistook it for part of his act and cheered him on. The truth soon became clear, and he was rushed to the hospital. Sadly, Wilson remained in a semi-comatose state for nearly 9 years before passing away in 1984.
Jackie Wilson had such an impact on the entertainment industry at large, and definitely in the music industry.
Solid Gold Easy Action, T-Rex. T-Rex frontman and founder Mark Bolan never learned to drive out of fear that he would die in a car accident. Ironically, he wasn't entirely wrong. Though he never got behind the wheel, Bolan tragically died in 1977 after a vehicle driven by his girlfriend Gloria Jones crashed into a tree.
Know my hair don't keep me smiling, my wondrous walk on my telephone dialing.
As if that wasn't spooky enough, Bolan himself may have unwittingly foreshadowed his fate in T-Rex's 1972 song Solid Gold Easy Action. The track begins with the lines, "Life is the same and it always will be, easy as picking foxes from a tree."
Easy as picking foxes from a tree.
At first glance, it seems innocuous, until you realize that the car that collided with the tree bore the license plate Fox 661L.
I can't get no satisfaction. All I want is easy action.
The Factory, Warren Zevon. Warren Zevon's 1987 track The Factory tells the tale of a man who takes over his father's grueling job at a factory.
Factory's got a good medical plan, cousin, I'm a union man.
The song lays bare the toll of working such a job, closing with the lines, "Kicking asbestos in the factory, punching out Chryslers in the factory, breathing that plastic in the factory." Strangely enough, this seemed to hint at Zevon's eventual fate. Although he never worked in a factory, in 2002, the singer was diagnosed with pleural mesothelioma, a lung cancer typically caused by exposure to asbestos.
Now he's on disability, and I got his old job in the factory.
Choosing not to undergo treatment, Zevon immediately set to work on what would be his final album, The Wind, which was released just weeks before he died in September 2003.
Kicking asbestos in the factory, punching out Chryslers in the factory.
Pennyroyal Tea, Nirvana. Nirvana frontman Kurt Cobain often channeled his experience with mental health issues and substance use disorder into his songs. The band's 1993 track Pennyroyal Tea revolves around someone grappling with severe depression, which by all accounts mirrored Cobain's own state of mind when he wrote it.
Sit and drink Pennyroyal tea.
With haunting lyrics like "Give me a Leonard Cohen afterworld so I can sigh eternally" and "Sit and drink pennyroyal tea, distill the life that's inside of me," the track reads like a cry of anguish from Cobain himself.
Give me Leonard Cohen afterworld.
Pennyroyal Tea appeared on Nirvana's third and final album In Utero and was scheduled to be released as a single. However, shortly before that could happen, Cobain took his own life at his Seattle home.
It was discovered by an electrician who had showed up at around 8:40 a.m. this morning, Friday morning, to do some work at the house. He looked in a window and said he recognized the body on the floor inside as Cobain's.
Leaving on a jet plane, John Denver. While he was still a struggling musician, John Denver wrote a song during a layover at the airport titled "Babe, I Hate to Go."
The dawn is breaking, it's early morn. The taxi's waiting, he's blown his horn.
In the tune, which was eventually retitled Leaving on a Jet Plane, the singer bids farewell to his loved ones shortly before he boards a plane, stating that he hates to leave and is unsure of when he will be back.
I'm leaving on a jet plane.
Nearly 30 years later, those bittersweet lyrics took on a haunting new meaning. In October 1997, Denver, who was a licensed pilot with years of flying experience, died when his private plane malfunctioned mid-air and crashed into the Monterey Bay in California. He was the sole occupant.
Babe, I hate to go.
That Smell, Lynyrd Skynyrd. This song appeared on Street Survivors, the fifth album by rock band Lynyrd Skynyrd, which gained infamy shortly after its release. The original album cover depicted the band members surrounded by flames.
But tomorrow might not be here for you.
This was a rather ominous choice, given that just 3 days after its debut, the band was involved in a devastating plane crash that claimed the lives of frontman Ronnie Van Zant and others. Even more ominous, That Smell, co-written by Van Zant, contained lyrics like "Tomorrow might not be here for you" and "The smell of death surrounds you."
Ooh, that smell. The smell of death surrounds you.
While Van Zant intended the song as a warning against his bandmates' excessive drinking and drug use, it has since been viewed as an unsettling foreshadowing of his own tragic end.
6 people lost their lives. Among them was the heart and soul of the band, Ronnie Van Zant.
Done changed. Richie Rich featuring Tupac. Ever since Tupac Shakur was murdered in September 1996, his death has been a hotbed of conspiracy theories. One of the most infamous claims is that Shakur faked his death and is still alive, a notion that is fueled by the strange way the rapper seemed to have predicted his own demise.
I'll last on my enemies for multiple centuries, forcing my adversaries to bleed when they see me.
2 months earlier, Shakur was featured on a song by fellow rapper Richie Rich, where he rapped the line, "I've been shot and murdered. Can't tell you how it happened word for word."
I've been shot and murdered, can't tell you how it happened word for word.
True to the lyrics, Shakur was shot on his way to a nightclub in Las Vegas and died days later in the hospital. It wasn't until 2023 that anyone was arrested for the crime.
Dwayne Kefe D. Davis has been indicted for murder, according to the Associated Press. Davis shared in a memoir entitled Compton Street Legend that he was in the Cadillac where the gunfire came from.
Dream brother, Jeff Buckley. In 1994, Jeff Buckley wrote Dream Brother as a plea to his friend, urging him not to abandon his pregnant girlfriend. This was a familiar scenario for Buckley, whose father left his mother when he was just 6 months old.
In a rush of wind, that dark angel hears shuffling in.
However, the song includes some ominous lyrics that seem unrelated to his friend's situation, like that dark angel he is shuffling in, watching over them with his black feather wings unfurled, asleep in the sand with the ocean washing over.
Watching over them with his black feather wings unfurled.
These words became particularly chilling when, just 3 years later, Buckley tragically drowned while swimming in the Wolf River Harbor. Although the death was ruled accidental, the eerie parallels between the lyrics and his fate have continued to raise eyebrows.
Sleep in the sand with the ocean washing over.
Borrowed Time, John Lennon. John Lennon recorded this song in 1980, but it never saw the light of day until 4 years after his death. Borrowed Time is a calypso-tinged reggae tune that was inspired by a turbulent sailing trip, during which Lennon's yacht got caught in a severe storm.
Living on borrowed time, without a thought for tomorrow.
Reflecting on the experience, he sang the line, "Living on borrowed time without a thought for tomorrow." Lennon was simply contemplating mortality following the harrowing near-death experience, but little did he know that his words would become strangely prophetic just months later.
The future is brighter, now is the hour.
On December 8, 1980, Lennon was tragically shot and killed by Mark David Chapman in front of his apartment building in New York City.
They spent most of the day and evening here. Just after 10 p.m., they got into a car and returned home. It would be the final time John Lennon would ever step foot inside a record studio.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. The Ballad of Jimi, Jimi Hendrix and Curtis Knight. Jimi Hendrix exploded onto the scene in 1967 with his groundbreaking debut album, Are You Experienced? But 2 years earlier, while still struggling to make a name for himself, Hendrix recorded a standalone track titled The Ballad of Jimi with fellow musician Curtis Knight. The song's protagonist, also named Jimi, was portrayed as a heroic figure who met a tragic end. Eerily prophetic lyrics included lines like, "Many things he would try, for he knew soon he'd die," and 5 years this he said, he's not gone, he's just dead.
He's not gone, he's just dead.
Fast forward 5 years, and Hendrix himself passed away in London at the age of 27, succumbing to asphyxia while he was intoxicated. It's almost as if he had written his own epilogue.
The toxicology report shows that he has a very considerable amount of quinolbarbital in his system. He has 0.7 milligrams per cent in his blood, and he's got 3.9 milligrams per cent in his liver. That is a very high level, and it's potentially lethal.
Did we miss any other singers who predicted their own futures with their music? Let us know in the comments below.
Now the time has come to leave you.